And everyone's being judged on the way they look. Whether you like it or not, people are judging you based off the way you look. Even if you think you don't, you're subconsciously judging people on the way they present themselves. So how that translates into business is if you see somebody who's sloppy or you're overweight, it could be a massive deterrent for opportunity when you're looking, when that opportunity arises. It could be the delineating factor whether they're going to do business with you or not. And it shows a very exemplary form of discipline, which is also going to be required in business.
Thomas, I love your story because your first year in sales, not only did you write above $400,000 and hit President's Club, but I mean, dude, just a year ago, you were a security guard and you have no sales experience. So talk to us about your mindset coming into this and over the course of this past year, where how you've developed into the person that you've become and adopted the mindset in order to produce on the level you have your first year in the insurance industry.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, getting into this industry has been one of the biggest blessings that actually started with a bad event. I was a security guard for about 2 years, ended up actually getting fired from that job. But I was doing both at the same time. So I started insurance because I was obviously scared to make the jump like most people are.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have some comfort via a salary to make sure I could make ends meet because, the whole 100% commission kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
Or it did, right? Doesn't anymore.
I hope not. You ripped 400 grand last year.
And then that was in January or end of January. And then so I had a good first month, started out really strong. And that was just, listening to everything Kyle had told me. Coming in, working next to him 12 hours every single day. I definitely burnt myself out. And then I essentially took 2 months off. The first one being because I was sick. The second one being because it was kind of hard to balance both of them at the same time. I just didn't have that, the same motivation that I did when I started, which is when you have to start working on the discipline aspect of it. So May came around and I ended up getting unexpectedly fired from my job. And I remember being on the team call with Kyle and the rest of the guys in the office. And they're going around, right? Everybody's saying, hey, what's your goal for this month? How many days of the month are you going to work? And then, what's your goal for production? And it got to me and I was like, well, I want to work 28 days out of this month and I think I was coming off of my, best month being 25K. So I was like, and do, 40K or something, I think I had said. And Kyle interjects and he's like, wait, how are you going to work 28 days out of the month? And I was too embarrassed on the call to be like, well, I got fired from my job. So I was like, well, guys, I quit my job. And everybody in the chat's like, let's go.
Let's go.
So, and I was extremely nervous because I was like, this has to work.
Yeah.
If this doesn't work, it has to. It not working was not an option. So I think that's what got me rolling because from May then it was just record-breaking months every single time.
Yeah.
I was hitting, I think I did something in the 30s, like over 35 that month. And then it was like 40 something the next month. And then I hit 50 something. And then I hit those two back-to-back 60K months. And then started tapering it down a little bit because I think that then the last month was about 50. It was 55 or something. But the big mindset shift that, had to occur was like, it doesn't matter if I'm motivated to work, like I have to, and I have to make this work. So that's when the discipline aspect, it kind of put me in check being in this industry. Like you have to have your schedule locked in. You have to have, if you're fit, or want to be fit, you have to have your workouts locked in, your meals locked in. And then obviously you can't be dragging these activities out because you're also going to have to work. It's not like those jobs you can sit there from 9 to 5 where you're just wasting time getting $15 an hour. So that definitely,
You're paid based on performance.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I did like because I felt like I was never compensated fairly for how hard I could work or what I could do in an industry.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to, I definitely grasped onto that. That was something I held on to where I was like, no, I'm worth more than this. So it allowed me to really output as much work as I could.
Huge. What would you say separates a 400K a year producer to a 100K a year producer?
So what I truly think is the delineating factors, it has to be mindset. So like going into this industry, I didn't think that I would be able to, just know it, just coming from a salary job, and like Joe says, thinking I can save my way to be rich.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible to do it this way. So, Kyle definitely opened my eyes and shifted my perspective, and it allowed me to really actually harness the belief in myself to like, oh no, I can do this. Also, you're seeing these other guys like ripping 20-30K months, and you're like, if that guy could do it, I could do it, So it's definitely mindset. Just having the belief, but not just having the belief, but truly believing it. Because you can be like, I think I can do this, and you'll get, when you talk about your goals, you do get a dopamine hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you'll hear a lot of people talk about goals and never hit them.
Yeah.
So you have to truly believe it. Just like when someone says, hey, I can quit doing this, or I can stop doing this whenever, I just don't want to. It's like actually proving it, believing it, and proving it to yourself that you can. Obviously, along with, work that's inputted and like understanding, KPIs and what needs to be done. But
what I've seen with a lot of W-2 guys that come into this, they come in with the mindset of, I'm going to dive into this and I'm going to try to figure it out. That's a flawed mindset. It's not, I'm going to try to figure this out, or I'm going to work at this. It's, I'm going to work at this until I figure this out. And if that is your mindset, then it is impossible to fail. It's impossible.
Exactly.
You can't do it. And so it's just simply, how many reps do I need to put in order to get to success? How quickly do I need to get there? And then in correlation with that, what's not talked about enough, not nearly enough, and it's easy to show up when you're feeling like it, when you got a good workout, good night's rest, you're sleeping, but whatever else. But it's, how do you handle on the days where you're going through it? You get a fat charge back, you're having a bad week, maybe somebody in your family's sick, or this is going on in your personal life, or you had this unexpected expense, or however big or small the adversity you're dealing with, where you went. So what I'm really proud of you for is you went through some real adversity this year, but you still kept your head up. You had a positive attitude about it. You still powered through and produced on a high level. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that, kind of your mindset that allows you and what you've developed to, even though you're not feeling like it or you're going through it, to continue pushing.
Of course. So starting from the beginning, essentially the first point of adversity that I had hit was obviously burnout after just grinding with Kyle. I literally took no days off for 30 days because I was working my full-time job Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 12 hours a day. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I was with Kyle for a full 12 hours, if not more. So that was the first piece of adversity, and I'm actually glad I learned that lesson first because it had to do with momentum. So the industry is like a lot about momentum, not in the fact of that you need momentum to be successful, but that momentum or the lack of momentum is really going to test you, and make those hard days even harder and really kick you when you're down. So if you can get over those lapses of momentum, that is, a big indicator if you have what it takes to be successful in the industry. Then later on that year, kind of post summer, I was engaged with a woman for a couple years, total time together, about 4 years. And that ended up, getting broken off. And it was really tough. It was, a lot of changes going on. Had to, a bunch of logistics with moving. Where am I going to stay? Obviously the emotional, damage that comes with as well. So obviously, those are huge mitigating factors for production, or like staying focused, probably throw most people off their game. It definitely did throw me off. But what really helped me and allowed me to continue being successful was, one, obviously all the boys being super supportive and really helped me out, through that hard time. I had a ton of support, which was incredible. I wasn't expecting to have as much support as I did, to be honest. And along with, taking a step back, looking at everything objectively, and just understanding that, like, everyone has stuff going on, just because I have this going on, one, it's not the end of the world, but two, like, I still have to survive and make money. I have to take care of myself. I can't just stop. Like, you could technically do that with a 9-to-5 because like 80% of it's showing up. Mm-hmm. But with, obviously not with this job, like, you actually are going to have to produce.
Yeah.
So, I think I definitely kind of used it as a sort of escape, which definitely helped because obviously, time is the ultimate tool that heals all wounds. So it's pretty much a race against time, as well as, making sure while you're in that pit that you have a support system.
Yeah,
and
it's huge. You gotta have a band of brothers.
Yes. And that you know how to implement them correctly, as well as, not further worsen your situation, which is what a lot of people do, though.
Yeah.
Resort to drugs, alcohol, different things that are only going to make their situation worse. So that was a big thing for me. I'm all about, okay, I'm in a bad situation. I don't want to make it worse. I want to get out of this, but it's going to be really tough to kind of push through. But I know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it will come.
And what's important as well is you need something you can throw yourself into. Like, the best shape a lot of dudes have ever been in is right after a bad breakup. So if you can, instead of using this business to deter you or bring, like, be inconsistent with your inputs, or bring yourself down of like, oh, I just went through this breakup, so like, production's low this month, because it's like, no, dig deep into that. Like you said, use it to you, because you need to put yourself into something. Because if you just sit around feeling sorry for yourself, you're just going to be more depressed. So get pissed off. Channel that emotion to something good. Exactly. Instead of, because if you don't, like you said, a lot of guys, they get into drugs, they go out and drink, because you got to channel that energy into something. So you're feeling a lot of emotion, so you might as well leverage that for good. And the truth is, the most successful people out there, dude, they've all been through shit. They've all gone through shit, but they've taken all that hurt and that pain, and they've channeled that and become somebody from that and become stronger. So that's huge. Let me ask you this, Thomas. What would you say grounds you? What keeps you grounded?
That's a tough one. I don't like to.
I know.
You do. Wait, what do you think it is?
Is it the gym?
Yes. The gym is something that keeps me grounded. Yes, that's a huge factor. but also just, being in a constant state of humility, because
Yeah.
there's always going to be somebody bigger. There's always going to be someone stronger. There's always going to be somebody who produces more. There's always going to be, in every facet, there's always someone who exceeds your capabilities or your, physical outputs. So if you don't stay grounded in humility, it's ultimately going to, end up not in a good situation for yourself, and you're just going to essentially disappoint yourself. And you just have to focus on who you are, what you have done, and just competing with yourself. When people like compare themselves and are competing with other people, it's not going to end in a good result.
Go to war with the man in the mirror.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. What have you noticed? What would you say you've noticed as a correlation to being in good physical shape and having success in business?
So obviously they both require discipline. And I am a firm believer, like I think I've heard you say it before, right? One, everyone's being judged on the way they look. Whether you like it or not, people are judging you based off the way you look. Even if you think you don't, you're subconsciously judging people on the way, they present themselves. So how that translates into business is, if you see somebody who's like looking sloppy or, they're overweight, it could be a massive deterrent for opportunity when that opportunity arises. It could be the delineating factor whether they're going to do business with you or not. And it shows a very exemplary form of discipline, which is also going to be required in business, because your business partner, he doesn't care what is going. I mean, he obviously cares about you, what's going on in your life, right? But you have a job to do. He's relying on you to do that job. So if you're not physically showing that you're capable of that, right? Like if I see you're overweight, I'm thinking, you can't even take care of yourself. What, you think you can take care of this part of the business? Like I'm not gonna put my faith in somebody that way. I mean, I could be biased, but that's how I see it. So I think
how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you're undisciplined in one area of the life, if you're undisciplined in your personal life, well, how can I expect you to lead and be disciplined in your business?
100%.
If you can't lead yourself, how can I expect you to lead other people?
Exactly.
Simple as that. And so what are some habits, some daily habits or some personal development tools that you've implemented or learned over the years that has allowed you to become the man that you are today and have the mindset that you have?
That's a good question. So it sounds super cliche, but we went over this stuff kind of at the leadership retreat. Obviously you need to understand how to set clear goals.
Yeah.
Right. Because you have to have an idea or a visualization of what that is going to look like. You need to have something that you're moving towards, and it has to be pretty clear. And the tools that we use, to implement those, it sounds basic, but journaling, because essentially, one, you're reminding yourself of these goals daily. You're also reflecting at the end of the day, did I act in the way that somebody would who is actually pursuing these goals seriously? So I think in terms of concept of what that would look like is, Joe Rogan said it on his podcast before, pretend that there is a camera crew following you around every second of the day. And if you were to watch that movie, would you think that that person is going to achieve the goals that they set? So
yes,
that is because it ultimately, all the work that is done to get there is not done in the public eye. It's in private.
I believe it was Elon Musk said, "When I die, I don't want to die with any regrets. I want to die knowing I gave it my all." And that's so true. When you're on your deathbed, that would be the worst feeling. Saying like, damn, like I should have given it more. I should have tried harder. Should have worked harder. I could have impacted more people. And I believe when we die, we see two versions of ourselves. We see the version of ourselves that we died in, and then God is going to show us the version of ourselves that we could have become. This is the people you could have impacted. This is the difference you could have made. These are the lives you could have changed. And so for me, I know I'm never going to be that second person, but my goal is to be as close to that second person as I possibly can.
Yes.
So in closing, last question for you, for the people watching this where maybe they're not coming from sales, they're new to the industry. What advice would you have them? What advice would you give to them to allow them to hit President's Club and write $400,000 their first year in the insurance industry?
Well, first thing I would do is, set realistic small goals, because that's going to develop your confidence in yourself, which is going to enable you to believe in that goal that you are setting. So if you're like a 100K producer, right, 400K sounds pretty crazy. So, these goals don't have to be long-term, like a year, right? You want them to be small, like, all right. And they need to be consistent as well. So it could be as simple as like making your bed every single morning, because then you came through for yourself. Like you showed up for yourself, and that's going to instill confidence. That's going to allow you to actually, stack up. They're going to compound, and then essentially the sky is the limit for what you can accomplish. So that's what I would start with. And then also practicing, visualization. You want to picture yourself in that position. Like you already achieved President's Club. What does that feel like? What does that look like? What is my lifestyle like? What is like every aspect? Where am I living? What does my girlfriend look like? What does my boyfriend look like? Right. And then embodying that, and it'll just happen. If you're moving in that right direction, you should get there, obviously at your own pace, depending on how fast you're moving. But that is, that's ultimately kind of what I did. It's just pictured myself doing better and better. And then it just kept happening, because I didn't work harder. It just kind of, obviously Kyle and Jake definitely helped implement some, different systems that allowed us to, save us time through automation and whatnot. But it's not like I was staying longer at the office or anything. You want to stay, you want to work as much as you can, but obviously you need to have time to take care of those things. Take care of yourself, right? Take care of your mental state, relationships. Those all need to be, at a, decent standing level to allow you to succeed in whatever your like main focus is. Otherwise, if one of those is hindered, because what is Nick Alfano's the 4? He's going to get upset at me for not remembering these, but it's like family finances,
faith, family, fitness, franchise.
Faith, family, fitness, franchise. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and raise the bar. Belief, action, result. Number one, first and foremost, like you were saying, it starts with belief. You have to have the belief in yourself. If you don't have the belief in yourself, you can't achieve anything. Once you have the belief, then you need to implement that and put that into action, because without action, you're not going to get anywhere. So once you have the belief, you put that into action, then you get the result. And just, dude, we had this past week was a perfect example. We came off an amazing summit, took the information, now at this lock-in, we applied it into application, and then now you get the transformation. And we have guys having breakthrough weeks. Guys are going to have, I promise you, coming out of this lock-in, breakthrough record months. This month, I guarantee you, it will be the biggest month Prosper's ever done. 100% guaranteed.
Awesome.
Because that summit instilled undeniable belief. They saw everybody on stage. So those people don't have anything that I don't have. Now this lock-in, they're putting that into action, and then they're getting the transformation. And that's it. That's it. Simple equation.
Yes.
Some people just overcomplicate it. They're getting their head. You just get less thinking, more doing. Sometimes you just got to lock in and do it. Like when you're in flow state, you're not thinking. Like my best speeches or my best sales training, when I'm in flow state, dude, I black out. I don't remember it. But when I go up there and I'm doing a sales training, or I'm thinking about like, all right, like I got to say this and I got to do that, and like I'm in my head and I'm thinking about it, it's a horrible training. So it's like sometimes you just gotta lock in. You got to do more. and you get there. You don't get good by thinking about it or strategize or planning. Like there's time for self-analyzation. Like Jake Rodman talks about, hey, make sure you're taking some time to reflect. Think about, how did I get to that success? How did I have that good week? Do that at the end of the day. But other than that, you just got to lock in and do it. And you develop and you get better through skill set and through repetition. That's it.
Well, very well said. Exactly.
So Thomas, we're out of time, brother, but dude, this was good. Thank you for hopping on the podcast.
Yes.